exponential expressions. Evaluate the following exponential expressions. For the first problem, 25 to the 3 halves, we want to use the idea that if we have a base, a, raised to the power of m over n, we can rewrite this as the nth root of a raised to the nth power, or the nth root of a to the nth power. So I want to use that idea for the first and the second problem. So we have 25 to the 3 halves. So I'm going to rewrite this as the second root. I'm going to take that denominator of 2 and put it in the index of the radical of 25. And then what's in the numerator, I'm going to put in the power. So the second root of 25 is equivalent to the square root of 25. And the square root is easily evaluated. The square root of 25 is 5. So I'll evaluate here. That gives us a 5 raised to the 3rd power. And then the next step will be to raise 5 to the 3rd power, which is 5 times 5 times 5, or 125. For our next problem, we have 27/8 raised to the 2/3 power. And I'm going to use the same idea that I used in problem number 1. And I'm going to rewrite this as the cube root, since there's a 3 here in the denominator. So the cube root of 27 over 8. I'll evaluate that, and I'll take the result and then raise it to the 2nd power. So the cube root of 27/8 is 3 halves. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2 is 8. And so that's what we get from us evaluating what's inside the parentheses. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to raise that to the 2nd power. And so for 3 halves raised to the 2nd power, this is equivalent to 3 halves multiplied by 3 halves, or 9/4. And our final answer for part 2 is 9/4. Now, for the third problem, I'm going to use the idea that if I have a fraction here raised to a negative exponent, I can take the reciprocal of that fraction and change the sign on the exponent. So if I take the reciprocal of 9/100, I would have 100 over 9. And then I'm going to change the sign on the exponent from negative to positive. So we have 100/9 raised to the 3 halves power. And then I'm going to proceed like I did for problem number 2. And so I have the square root. Since the denominator is 2, the index would be 2. If the index is 2, we do not need to write it. It's the understood 2 with the square root. The square root of 100/9, I'll evaluate that and raise it to the 3rd power. The square root of 100/9 is 10/3. Taking 10/3 and raising it to the 3rd power will give us 10/3 times 10/3 times 10/3, or 1,000 over 3 times 3 is 9, times an additional 3 is 27. 1,027.